What's up, Liron here, and today I'm interviewing Nitin Singh. What's up, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video. Today I'm super excited. I have a special guest. I'm interviewing Nitin Singh. I'm going on with my interview series, and this one is really interesting. Nitin is one of the artists that I really appreciate, and I love his artwork as well. I will put links in the description box to his channel, to his website, to his Skillshare, to everything else that you can check out. So just know it's in the description box below. And without further ado, let's jump straight into the interview. Welcome everyone, Liron here, and today I have a special guest for you. I've got Nitin Singh here with me, a super talented watercolor painter, a fellow YouTuber. I'm actually sure many of you are familiar with his work because I do know that my viewers, some of them are yours and vice versa. I'm super excited to have you with me. So how do you feel, Nitin?
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Liron, to meet you and talking with you. So it's a privilege to have this discussion.
Awesome. Nitin, I remember the first time that I saw your work, and like the first thing I thought to myself is like, this is some kind of magic, I have to say. And now that I'm doing these interviews, I immediately knew that I have to reach out and make that connection. So again, I'm also very excited to have you here. Let's jump straight into it. So the way I like to open it is actually by going back into the past, because I'm really interested about hearing more about your history and what shaped who you are as an artist today. So I wanted to ask, how were you as a kid? Did you show any interest in art? Did you do anything creative? Curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a way back, when I was in, I think it's a 6 year old. So I've started my, I was just a kind of got some inspiration from someone. It's 6 year old, and I don't know how I got that inspiration, but yeah. So it was a sort of the travel I did, and that travel made me to just recall all the activities or whatever. So I was just basically this whole the journey started from there. So I was just traveling with my parents in the train, and I captured every moment. So I was just traveling, what I ate, where I sat, and what all the things we did there. So everything I've just called out through the drawing in my, in my.
You already started drawing that? It was like your way of documenting the trips.
Absolutely. So it was at the way long back as a 6 year old when I was. So that's what I started. My parents recognized my, my passion. I wouldn't say it's a passion because I was just a 6 year old, but yeah, it just they found like I have some sort of the ability to draw, because the 6 year old nobody's even I don't have any teacher, the art teacher. It's just all my the inspiration from that travel, and I've done those sketches. So yeah, it's all started. My parents are supporting me. They started giving me a lot of colors and crayons and all of that.
I was gonna ask what kind of tools you were using for that, just out of curious.
In India, there is a specific the brand which is called a Camlin. The Camlin, Camlin poster color. It comes in a very tiny bottle, which is an opaque medium. So I've just started doing that. Apart from that, I've started working with sketches, sketch pen, and definitely the pencil. In my schooling days, even at my school. Whenever I used to get time, I just I used to sketch something, and I just do some drawing. And I was quite famous in my school for drawing, right? So my teachers has also recognized my talent, and they approached my parents. So yeah, this is how it all started. Yeah.
Amazing. And for the person that kind of looks from the side, it may seem like, because I remember you started, and we're going to talk about this a bit later on, that you started watercolor painting at about the time I did. For me, that's crazy perspective, because it seems like a very fast improvement, and we're going to talk about that. But what people sometimes don't see is all of the work that went before that and all the years that you were sketching and capturing things. And I'm sure that the drawing experience was also something that was really significant in getting there, right? Like the actual drawing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, the drawing was the kind of the work which I used to do in everyday basis. So just after my schooling, when I used to come to my home, and so a lot of people, my brothers and my friends, they used to go to play the several games, but I was the one who just get into some corner and start drawing.
I know that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's all started there. I don't know how I got all of those. So some people feel, all my friends and families, everybody says that it's a God's gift. And sometimes I feel like, yeah, it's just like the kind of interest, the love you have. So 6-7 year old, and so much of the passionate about the drawing and painting. So yeah, that took me to a different level. So until date, I never look back in any other the profession in the sense. So I'll talk about later how it's been my career. But yeah, so it's all connected with the art. So wherever and whichever phase I was, it all connected with the art and creativity. And so after my schooling, I did my I joined arts college in my state. It was in Patna Arts College. So Patna is the capital of Bihar. Where I've done my fine art. So it all started. I've done my fine art, and my watercolors basically started from there. So I've seen a lot of work, a lot of watercolors, absolutely amazing watercolor work, and that's all. That's all I've started. Interested in watercolor.
Something, and it clicks. It's beautiful, and you're like, wow.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, in the college, when you're there in a college in your studies, so you have to get expertise in all the medium, from sketching, from the composition, the sculpture, and the printmaking, all of that. But I don't know. In a very first year itself, when I look at the work, I've seen the several work like in acrylic, oil, and other mediums. Several. Those are so fascinated, but I don't know. The watercolor is something. It just grabbed my attention, and I could not resist myself to start. Painting. I mean, from first year itself, though it's not allowed in a college. In a first year, you have to do a lot of sketches and drawings to understand the basic form and composition, all of those. But not in a high level of watercolor painting and so on. But I just, I said no. I mean, it's so much. It's so much appealing to me. I really want to go ahead with that. I'll just do my project or whatever I'm supposed to do. I will do that. But along with that, I definitely, So I've just learned so much from my seniors in my college. They were so fantastic. Their work is so amazing. So that's all I started, and so from there it's all on and on.
We're gonna touch on the first, let's say, time that you became serious about watercolor. Before that, I want to take you back to something else. We also talked about it before doing this interview, and that is your move. You moved to Bangalore, I believe. Am I pronouncing it right? Hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I was going to ask, because we talked about that idea of leaving the familiar surrounding and then kind of trying to make yourself an independent person and maybe establish yourself. And I was curious to hear how that move, if at all, had influenced your art or something like artistically, if you felt like there was some kind of an influence, or even just generally. But really, I'm interested in the artistic part.
Yeah, I mean, those are a really interesting phase of my life, especially in a creative side. So after my college, so it was 2002.
You left
And
after the college?
yeah,
Yeah.
so up to 2002, I left, and I came here in Bangalore. So the Bangalore is a capital, it's a Silicon Valley. So it's a known for information technology, and so those software services and all of those. So I had no idea what I will do there as an artist in Bangalore, but this is where I wanted to be. The reason is a lot of my friends were here, and those very, they influenced my, the way of the looking at the career goal. So when I was taking decisions to come back, leaving my place and coming here in Bangalore in 2002, it was a really tough decision because I had to go in a place where nobody knows me, and I was not financially so much of comfortable that I can just start building my painting.
It's a risk.
Absolutely, it's a huge risk. Like in the UK, I just came here, and I struggled a lot, at least for 3 months, and eventually I got a first break as a graphic designer. The reason I've taken this graphic designer because as an artist, you want to sustain. The sustainability has to be there. You want to make arts, right? So making art in back even in a decade ago it's not so easy, especially if you are the emerging, and if you're just establishing
it was so different.
It was so difficult, right? So and on top of it, if you look at in today's world, I'm just connecting with you, right? And there is a lot of spaces where you can connect online, and you can just connect with the several like-minded people. There is a lot of spaces for your creative work, and people are buying art today. So that was different back 2 decades ago. So yeah, it was a kind of difficult situation, but I started working as a graphic designer, and I just felt like okay, that's fine. I mean, at least I got some sort of sustainability where I can make a lot more art. At least I should not get into just making just an art and just struggling to sell them. Otherwise, it could have a different situation. So I think it was a very conscious decision that I've just I joined as a graphic designer, and so far. But it was in a different direction. It has gone.
I have to say, by the way, sorry for cutting you off. I completely agree, and I think one of the things that makes artists successful is their practicality, because there are many artists who aren't practical, so they get a run of a short time and then they're out of business. And
absolutely,
I kind of did the same thing, focusing on one way of sustaining myself. And I didn't paint all day long. I still don't, in fact. And I think it's really, like you said, a conscious decision that later on sets you up to much freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, I mean, I still am suggesting a lot many, emerging, like a lot many artists who's in the same situation even today. So I'm suggesting them what is the right approach you should consider. So the first thing is like you should have some sort of freedom, and the freedom only comes when you will just completely come out in the thinking process that okay, I need tomorrow, if I'll not sell my painting, so I will not sustain. So that's sort of the mentality. that kind of a sense has to go. So the first thing you need to look for is how you're going to sustain yourself. If you want to
100%.
100%, and you want to go ahead and making a lot of art. So it's a kind of you are making a path, right?
Yeah, it's a balance.
Yeah, it's a kind of a balance act you're doing. You're earning from a different source, but where exactly your goal is. You want to reach in this place, and to reaching this this area, this space, you need to have some sort of, unless you are a rich dad.
Yes, depending on your circumstances, of course. And I completely agree.
Yeah. So I didn't have that that privilege. I'm from very humble background. So but yeah, my mother and my family members have supported me a lot. Even my wife, she is supporting me a lot about this.
Yes, and I forgot to say congratulations because you have a new baby. So I'm really happy for you about that. We didn't mention it.
Oh yes. So yeah,
I got to tell him. To talk to him on Hangouts.
Yeah, a couple of months back, I become a father of a baby boy. So yeah, it's an amazing phase. So that's what I mean. If you look at currently, I'm not uploading. I'm not spending much time on.
You're a little less active.
Yeah, I'm a little less active because I don't just want to miss this phase, because you should enjoy every phase of the life. Yeah.
That's amazing. So what I want to touch upon next really is watercolor. And I want to talk about when you made the transition to become a little more serious about it in painting about 2.5 years ago. I'll ask a few follow-up questions, but I want to know just about that transition, how it went, and maybe what you started to begin working more on your painting skills and,
Yeah. So basically, becoming a seriousness, that thing came from my college itself, I would say. When I was making a painting, my first year, a lot of people came and they saw my work, and I got on some prestigious award in my college itself, though I was not in that level to hang my paintings in the gallery. But the kind of response I got, the kind of encouragement, and so those things are really adds a lot of value and a lot of a lot of enthusiasm to go ahead and work with this medium. So I think for anything you are doing and the people are appreciating, and you see the response, so you will feel like excited. So it's not just excitement by someone saying you, but it's also your perception, when you look
of your
at
own.
work, so the kind of satisfaction you see, so when you make art, and when you look at your the end work, the end result is like something. It gives you there's an unimaginable pleasure. So that is also is like a huge inspiration for any watercolor artist. So the same thing happens to me every time whenever I made a watercolor art. I felt like so much excited about, and I just said that okay, I don't want to go ahead with any other medium, because this watercolor is the one which I wanted to go ahead, and I don't want to look at any other medium. So that's a kind of a commitment I had a couple of decades ago. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well today, so
we were almost going to postpone it, but I'm happy you came through. And we did, yes. So yeah, I completely agree, and I think this sense of enjoying your own work and is something that develops with time. And I will also say about the medium, I feel like I made the same commitment, although shorter time ago. But I also was like, this is what I love, and I don't care right now about oils and other things, that nothing's wrong with them. I do think it's a matter of personality many times, and like the things you naturally gravitate towards are just, who knows where that comes from. So that's incredible. Now I want to talk about, because a lot of people see your progress, and you also made a video that I really enjoyed about your progress. And you your first paintings, I believe, or older paintings, and it does seem like you improved fast and you learned fast. And my question is, do you have any advice in that sense, particularly was it the way you painted or something like this? We're deeper on what inspires you and things like this in just a few moments, but I'm curious about maybe even the practical side of how you approached this, what you actually did.
Absolutely. See, the basic thing for any watercolor beginner should consider is, if you want to get an expertise, into watercolor art, the first thing is you have to make a certain mind. You have to be very firm that you really love watercolor. Just ask yourself whether you want to do this watercolor or not. And trust me, this helps a lot. The moment you're saying I love this medium and I really can't think any other medium, just because I just wanted to go ahead with watercolor. So first thing is you have to be very much sure that this is the medium you want. I mean, it's absolutely, you can take a month or two or whatever the time you need. Just take and just see that how is your progress and all of those. But the thing is the first thing is you need to have a connection.
Yes.
That connection is so important. I've seen a lot of people, they make a couple of painting and they say, oh, this watercolor is so tough and I can't control this medium, and they just leave that, and they never touch this watercolor. And that's not the way it works. Not only me, I mean, even the experts, when they started doing watercolors, so they had a different kind of issues and the complication and all of those. When I was started, I know how much the frustration I had. It's each painting I made, I had a certain thing to make, and it came out completely different. The overall composition was so bad that when I look at the thing, and I was feeling oh my god, what I did, I just wasted my time so badly. But what good thing happens is you have to make an art, no matter whether it is coming right or not. You have to complete that painting. So there are a few basic things I just keep tell to a lot of beginners. When you start making painting, don't end in the middle of the painting. You need to complete this painting.
So important. So important.
Yeah.
You just give up on experience. Just stop and don't learn.
Yeah, so I've seen that even my workshop and all, people do, and they feel like, okay, it is not going anywhere, and they just tear it apart and just throw it away. That's not the way. I mean, you have to complete that painting and just see where the problem is. What is it? See, it's not even in a single time, even though your painting is not so good, but you have learned something. You understood that I did some mistake, and due to that, your paintings are not so good. Maybe you applied so many different color or very hard patch, or some blending has not gone in the way what you wanted to. So where the problem was, so you need to identify all of this. First that. Second thing is, you need to make art. I mean, you need to make a watercolor every day, possibly. I mean, if it is not, so probably in a 2 days, at least 2 to 3 painting in each week.
Yes, each week.
Yeah, so you're gonna. So I'm just so much excited that you are painting so many plein air today.
Super important.
Yeah. So and I'm so much excited to see your progress. I mean, unimaginable for me, like how you have just grown up. So it's the same fundamental applies to every students. So the second thing is you have to make art every day. And I made a separate video about that how you wanted to make. So morning you get up, you do your exercise and all that, and before leaving to office, you really don't want to make a masterpiece. you just play with them, just play with your
exactly. The more you do it, the less you care. Funny enough, it's not like every painting is something that has to be perfect. You just do it, and then you learn the best.
Yeah. So thing is, like, you should not have a mental barrier that if I'm making a watercolor painting, then I'm going to make a masterpiece, and the outcome is absolutely fantastic. So I can just sell it anywhere, or just give to someone, or hang it to the gallery. No, I mean, don't think all that. Just keep the
practice.
brush. Take the color, and just do whatever.
So agree.
Listen, whatever it is, right? So that gives a lot of flexibility. People don't understand that why I'm telling, and even the people, a lot of people gives an other comment also. This is just a bullshit, I said, yeah, I mean, maybe, but it works for me.
I say always listen to the person that's where you want to be. So if you see someone that's good and they give you advice, maybe it's good to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is, like, a lot of people, if you look at my comment on my videos, a lot of people say, what is this paper is all about? What is this paper you are using? What is this brush you are using? What is this color brand you have? And all of those questions.
Irrelevant.
This doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, what paper you are using, whether you are using a very international branded paper or a standard international brand brush or whatever. So far in my career, I've never used a branded paper and even the brush. So, but though I really want to use that.
It does look like a good paper, though. I'm curious. I would try it.
I mean, definitely, yeah. So those papers available in my local market. I don't know. Probably I need to dig deep into it and try to find out who's creating that. So there's a lot of production of watercolor paper here in India, and those are really good quality. So I mean, definitely, so I'll just definitely look into it and find out. But yeah, what I wanted to tell you is that a lot of my paintings is not even used as a watercolor paper. I've used it a normal cartridge paper, which is just for
you even have a few videos with that, I believe. That you show.
So it's really, I mean, you really don't need to, unless you really want to make a gallery piece, or for some of your client or your friend asking for one painting. So you can definitely go and buy one good paper and all, you can make that. But you're learning, right? You really don't need to spend so much of time. And again, I mean, the thing is, like, unless if you are a millionaire, you can definitely go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. But I'm just telling you, whatever I experience and whatever I feel is the most desirable. So I don't want to spend much money on expensive art supplies, and stuff like that. So I just go take a cartridge paper, sketch it, and then. And it's not like I don't want to spend. As I said, I mean, if it all depends on whom you are creating for. So so that's the kind of the suggestion I have. And be very passionate, because if you're not passionate about the kind of the what you want to be, so that's a very fundamental. So you need to be a very passionate what you want to be. So it applies to any field, not only in the art, right? So that's all.
So that's interesting. That's actually a good segue. I love this idea of the tools, and I so agree with you. It comes up every time. What I wanted to ask you now, and that has to do a bit, I think, also with the passion and inspiration you talk about. I was wondering, when I look at your paintings, it seems like you capture the light and the feeling, and it's in such an interesting way, even colorful way. My question is, how do you choose a scene to paint? Like, is there something specific that inspires you when you're out there, from observation even? Can you tell us more about that? That's interesting to me.
It's interesting to me also, because I struggled a lot to get this perspective. When I was making art and wanted to, get expertise on, especially, lights. and the kind of seeds for each object. You can't just make an art and just refer something and all. Trust me, when I walk in the street, I look at each object and how does this the shadow falls in the surface.
Yeah. It's funny, we both have English, like funny accents when we talk English, so that's fine. I already got used to it. I hope you get used to mine. Yours get used to it.
Yeah. So the front, yeah, in a front, you have some different perspective. When it is a far away, so how the lights are,
definitely.
It's a light, and within the light, you also living in the subspace. So lights and the depth and the shadows, it's absolutely important. That defines your watercolor. If watercolor art doesn't have the proper shadows and light, then it becomes very monotonous. It's a flat. So each work should have this
and that's something you look for in a scene. Is that like something you allow to inspire you?
Yeah, so basically whenever I visit anywhere, let's say out of my my town, so whichever the kind of the environment or the kind of a scene is feel like okay, there is a proper amount of the composition or this entire composition. But I take a snap, I just take a photograph and refer to them. I do a lot of plein air also. Nowadays I'll stop, but earlier I used to do a lot of plein air along with my workshop. So in my workshop also, I used to bring a lot of students and understanding the values of the shadows and all. So it's really important to go, and it's a different perspective and a different way to express yourself when you're going on spot and doing art, because your mental picture is completely different, right? When you're doing it in a studio and when you're doing
interesting.
Yeah, because a lot of people have asked me. I mean, the question was very specifically, most of them is this, they mentioned that when I go out and make art, I really don't enjoy, because a lot of people are just observing me, looking at my art, and I'm so nervous that
yes, I get it.
It really makes me nervous, and I've started doing bubbling here and there, and at the end, I completely messed up with my painting. I feel very embarrassed. No, that's not the thing. It's your art. It's you, right? It's you who's going to make, who's interested, who's there to make art, right?
Yes.
If somebody doesn't like, they'll just walk away, right? So it doesn't matter. And the art is nothing like like and dislike. It's not about that. People have a different perspective, different ideology to look at the art, right? So we should not compare. We should not, if somebody is saying that what you're doing is bad, I mean, or it is not I mean, whatever is a negative response, never listen to those negative
I love that video of yours, by the way, about stop taking feedback. That's great. That's a great perspective.
Yeah. So basically your motivation level drastically goes down, right? If somebody gives a negative, though somebody's trying to improve you, somebody's giving you the feedbacks, but the feedback is a different ball game. If somebody is giving you the feedback, they should know how to give feedback. The feedback is so important. A feedback will, I mean, it just drag your motivational level so down that you really don't want to look
at your work. It's so hard to give good feedback, as
Absolutely.
someone that's being asked this, it's very challenging. It's very challenging.
So I tell all my friends that if you're looking for a feedback, go and ask the right person for the feedback. If you're going to ask the feedback to you,
ask your wife, ask your best friend. No, well, it depends. Sometimes friends can be real with you. Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends. Yeah, absolutely. If but all I wanted to say is like who's giving you the feedback
Yeah.
and who you should listen. So that you should you must consider.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
The funny thing about what you said about the, fear of others when you're painting outside, yeah, that's good. The funny thing about it is that people don't know. What they don't know is how fast it goes away. Because I had that too when I started painting outside. I had it for about 2 weeks, and I did it 3 times a week, and it just went away completely. And now in the next level, because I'm also recording myself, and that attracts more attention, and even more people stop by and talk. So it doesn't bother me at all anymore. Now, my challenge is to stay focused on the painting. That's a different challenge, because sometimes they pull you out of it a bit, but I'm not worried about what anyone else thinks. And I hold the phone or the camera and start talking, and it goes away so fast that if you just stick to it for a week or two, it just goes away. That's with many fears. I find that to be the case,
yeah. I mean, that's the only the approach we should have. So when you paint, just look at that. Nobody's around you. Just think in that way. Because yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I just follow. Like when I paint outside, uh, I just feel like okay, I'm just doing my work, and whoever it is around me, nobody is there. I'm just
Yeah,
I'm just
they're just
whatever.
observing your work. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's just the kind of expression. Sometimes what it does, and the kind of color this object has, but I just applied something absolutely different color. The people just raise their eyebrow.
Yes, always, always.
Yeah,
They ask, what is it in the scene? I can't find it.
yeah, yeah. So the kind of curiosity is, because sometimes the curiosity, if you start listening to them and observing their perspective and their the emotional stats, then that'll be a different picture. You'll not able to make art.
Yeah. You
So
can
yeah,
actually learn from them too, from the way they react to your painting. That's if you don't have an ego around it, you can just learn from the reaction.
yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of perspective to it. So
Yeah.
sometimes when you're making art, and then so basically what I do is after the completing the art, I just keep at least half an hour to discuss about the kind of the thought process goes behind why I have applied a certain color, why I have left,
Amazing. After
yeah,
finishing the painting, you do that?
absolutely. So
That's interesting. I never done it.
yeah, so the people then they just start connecting with you, and they say like, oh, okay, yeah, and that's the right approach you did. They'll just, so you need to explain them, right? So you need to, so this is stories. I just look at this as a storytelling experience, and I also consider that every painting has some story.
Is there something specific you want to say with your paintings? I'm curious, like anything at all?
See, most of my paintings, so what currently or even previously I've worked as, I don't want to make any art which is monotonous. I mean, it's just like you go, okay, there is a one building or there is some objects around. No, the people want to want to just connect themselves with the kind of environment you have made and the story you wanted to establish. So what is that possibility you wanted to bring to your art to get connected with the person? So that happens that the whatever the surrounding he or the your audience is, just take them through with your art. So what I do is I make a series of art, a series of like take an example of Varanasi. So Varanasi is that it's a pilgrimage, a well-known spiritual city in India, and people knows about how the pure and the kind of divinity this place has.
Yeah.
So when I make art, okay, around that place, so I just try to bring that atmosphere. What happens there? So
Yeah.
there is a one prayer with we call it Aarti. So Aarti is like, you are worshipping the Lord's Sun, right? So you are doing those. There is a lot of priest who's doing that. So you wanted to establish those those
Yeah.
emotions in your art. So the people absolutely, they just connect. Okay, this is what it happens in Varanasi. If you'll just make a Varanasi as some temple, then it's not going to work. So absolutely, Varanasi, when it comes to the mind, Varanasi has 1,000 of the temple. But what happens in that temple? What those temples are? What is the in and out? So everything you need to bring in the emotion, the kind of a divinity, the floating energy all around.
Yes.
So
I get it.
that you need to bring in. So all of my painting, I just try to bring that. But
And it does
it's
work.
not,
I feel it with every
I
painting
don't
you do.
know.
I
I don't know.
immediately am pulled to it, and I can feel like the place I'm every painting I saw.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just try
You
myself.
experienced it differently than other thing. I'm sure you do. Because...
I didn't get you. Come
okay.
again?
No, I just asked if you experience your own paintings probably differently than others, just because you made them. Because I said that it works, because every painting of yours that I see, I get that feeling of the place. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. I mean, there is a break. The voice breaking.
Okay. Now is it back? It's still
Yeah.
maybe it's something with my Wi-Fi. I just said that I get this feeling from your paintings.
Yeah.
Of the atmosphere and the place and the like you said, the divinity. I get it from every painting that I see. So so it looks like it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a little bit of experiment. So one aspect is like if you visit that specific place, what you want to paint, that adds a lot more, even a great level of values, because you know that you understand what this place is all about.
Yeah.
Likewise, same thing. You are painting clean air outside, right? And you know the surrounding, right?
Yeah.
There was a lot of motion, a lot of people around. So you were there in that environment. You know each aspect. You are feeling the heat, the cold, and the lights rapidly changing shadows. So you have gone through that. So you always feel the warmth of that place, and it adds a value when you make art. Even let's say if you made a one attempt, or you made your art, but tomorrow in your studio, if you want to make the same painting, definitely those perspective will come to your mind.
Yes. It's like you are there almost.
Yeah. So especially if talking about my Varanasi experience, I was there for 6 months to understand every possible the entire the space of the divinity of this place. I spoken with the local person, the sadhus there, the temple. I've gone into the temple. So it's like I was there for 6 months, and I made several artists, filmmakers, and writers. I met several people there. So it was an amazing experience. When I came back, when I remember this place, it's a phenomenal. So it's the experience is I can just define, and I see like my painting is still not capturing those emotions. I have to go, so far. I mean, I have to make many of them. So then only I'll get that.
You can always see the difference, like between what you planned and what the result is. But it's sometimes it's only we can see this, but other people are like, yeah, it completely sucked me in. I had a question actually. I wanted to ask you, and you talked about it just for a moment before. I get asked this sometimes. How do you choose the colors that you're using? Because this is one of the things that I love about the color palette that you use, like the actual color scheme. I love it in almost every painting. So my question is really, how do you go about, like, on a moment by moment basis? Or
so basically, the color is something is like in you. Okay, it all tells you. It explains you who you are as a character, as a person. So if you talk about my characteristic, my as a person, I'm very fun loving. Right? I love contrast. I love I love going out and chilling with my friends and all of those. And it doesn't mean that I'm that person and I'm so selecting something else, some other color. So the personality you have, it always be, when you just pick the color from your color palette. Okay, just observe. When you pick the color as a person, it's like a little psychology. You will just pick only those character which represents you, which who you are. Okay, so you will just pick only those color. Just give a try and just see that in a relaxed mood. Take a deep breath, have a yoga. You do yoga, right?
I do meditation. Yes.
Oh yeah, meditation.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just So just go and pick the color. Just and just see that what all the colors you are. So exactly the same thing happens, right? And by the time you are moving toward your one phase to another, the personality, your the way of looking at the art and the color palette will start changing also. It's not like one artist will have only one color, because your emotion, your touch will also will start changing your character. Because today we are 30-year-old, we come 45-year-old, and that way it's that your emotional the values also change. So your color palette will also. So so exactly the same thing happens when I started. A lot of very live color I used to have. Now, if you look at my color, that has a different feeling now. But going forward, the kind of series I'm working on, a different the color set. So it changes, right?
And it's very interesting. I'm going to actually go over your series and I will take a look, because this brings me another question. Like, while you're painting, it's very interesting. How do you then choose the paint? You already have your paints on the palette, but how do you know what to use where? Sometimes you just choose some blue, sometimes you choose some orange, some turquoise. How do you do that?
So I think it's completely a conscious behavior. As an artist, when you progress with your art, it's a kind of experience and expertise. You have spent it so much of time, and you are connected
very
with this
medium.
You know that what works good, what works better. Right. So this is how it happens. I never just think like there is no any pre-plan. I just that's what I do in a live video also. So I don't go and specifically consciously choose a specific color. It happens. It happens by
just reaches into one color. And
and at the end of the day, you'll just see that in your color palette you have a 10-15 color set, but you have used only 3-4 color, right? And that's becomes your personality. That's you, right? So this is how it happens. So while painting, I never consciously take a decision that I have to take this. Whatever it comes, in my brush, I'll just take that. But I don't know, from my within, I know that this will settle. Sometimes I just see that it's really horrible, but it's all depends on the kind of skill you have. You are able to manage that. Even your painting has gone drastically different way, but you know that how to get recovered, and it happens several times to me. Giving you one instance that last year I won one of the very prestigious award from Liron Academy here in Karnataka. So I got the award there. That awarded work, the watercolor art which I have made, it was absolutely, I was just supposed to, discard it. I just think, okay, this is absolutely, different.
You
I
thought
really
something
don't want
different
that.
completely about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just felt, because I spent a good amount of time there, and it came out completely different, which is not
Mm.
satisfying me. So what I did is, as I
Yeah.
said earlier, never stop. You never leave your painting. Just
Yeah.
what I did
Yeah.
is, I have not worked at least 2 days in that painting. I just kept it as it is.
Yes. You just set
I'm
it
not even,
aside.
yeah, I'm just relaxed, and I said, okay, now let me complete this painting. I'll not discard it.
Mm.
I'll not throw it away. I have just taken the same painting and I did something in that, and that and that painting has won the national award last year.
Amazing. That's
So
incredible.
yeah, so
And
that
I
so
saw
that's
that. I believe I saw that on Instagram too, and it's incredible. I
yeah,
loved it.
yeah, yeah. In my
Yeah.
Instagram, I posted there. So yeah, it happens. So it's just kind of
It's
yeah, it's a kind of your instinct. You're saying
hmm
that, okay,
yeah.
you will win this. Okay, you
Yeah.
need to come.
Sometimes you know what happens? It's like you work on a painting and you get tired of it and you feel like it's not working. And like you said, you set it aside, but then after a while you feel like, let me
Yeah,
try. You want to try to continue
yeah,
it. It's the opposite. When you worked on it, you're like, I don't want to do it. But then you want to try. And this wanting, I think, represents some little inspiration, because I find that
absolutely.
when I have this, it's just a relaxed, let me try. And it always comes out like I wanted to in those cases. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's always like there is a two thing here. One is uh, if you feel like okay, I don't want to paint. I don't feel like to
Mm,
paint. Don't paint. Don't paint. Just relax.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. If it's
and
really bugging you, then yeah.
yeah. No, no. What happens if you not make art? Okay, you want to make a watercolor art, but you don't feel to make
Mhm.
watercolor in that point of time.
Yeah.
You just made your mind that, okay, today evening I'll make it, and evening you are occupied with some other work and you couldn't work. You know what happens? The night when you go to your bed, there's a lot of monster will come to you, huh? And they'll say, okay, today you have not painted, and
Yeah.
that kind of the guilt will make you to paint tomorrow.
Yeah, the day after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it happens to me like I, today I don't want to make paint. I don't feel to paint, and uh, if I'm not painted for, let's say, for 2 days, then third days is my
Mm.
my inner.
It seems to,
It,
yeah, you have this way of looking at it. Yeah.
it says that, come on, Nitin. Okay, I'm just observing you. What are you doing? Tell me your schedule. What are you doing? What is the thing you are doing? So you don't want to paint. So yeah, that kind of a lot of call will come to you. It's an invisible energy will come and surrounding you to make art and force
Mm.
you to make art, and you will enjoy that.
Yeah.
So it happens. It not this kind of a characteristic will come after a certain certain time you have invested in this medium.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
You're
So
committed already. You've invested in it. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I can
So
really
yeah.
relate. I think it's important also to listen to yourself, generally speaking. If you are aware of when you really don't want to paint, then you're also aware of when you want to paint. And then you can take advantage of that. Because if you just force yourself all the time, you can't feel
Yeah,
the times where you really want it. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
it's so much better. I'm actually excited that you raised the whole the award. I wanted to ask you about galleries. Your work is in several galleries, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken, right?
Hmm.
You said you
Hmm.
made connections with a few, and my question
Yeah.
is: a lot of people are in this situation where they paint for a while, they even make good art, but they don't know how to approach putting their
Hmm.
paintings in a gallery. So I was curious to ask you how you went about it and how you got your work into a
Okay.
gallery, kind
Yeah,
of.
that's a really exciting thing. Great question, though. So basically, when you approach a gallery, I'll just tell you my experience. So when I think a couple of years back, when I've exhibit my exhibition, my paintings in the gallery, a lot of galleries came, they've spoken, and all of that discussion happened. Uh, but it things like if you, as an artist, you really don't need to approach any gallery. That's a fairly understanding I had after that. You really don't need to. What you need to do is let the other people come to you. Let them. So be so good, so people can't ignore you. Be so good. Do whatever you're doing. Make so good watercolor art or whatever the art medium you're working on. Make so good of art. Uh, the people will come to you and they say, hey, I really need your work. And second thing is, if you'll just keep that, okay, I make a good art, people will come to you, that also not happen. You need to give an accessibility. You need to give them to access you. Okay, so be in a web. You have to have your website. Keep your work there. Okay, there is a lot of online platform where you can sell directly. Sachi is the one. I sell my art there.
I looked at your art there. Beautiful.
Yeah. So it's just like this is how it works. Before approaching any gallery for representation and gallery show and all, be very much sure that your watercolor art, your art is so much has tremendous energy. So that sort of thing will you will win the match. You will see that how the people will approaching you in any way, right? The only thing is access thing. So I have my website, my social presence all over. So just keep that. So if you want to, if you still feel like you wanted to go ahead and do approach the galleries, then you can do that. But the gallery will take their call, right? So the gallery will approach you only if they feel the values in your art.
They want to make money at the end of the day, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's their business.
They have to, otherwise there's no gallery.
Yeah. So my only suggestion is to be good what you're doing, and whatever the art you are making, take a good photograph and send it to them. Make a list of all the galleries around is more valuable, or you feel like they have there's some sort of the collection what you paint. Let's say if I make a watercolor art, let's look around that which gallery is representing a lot of watercolor art. Yeah. So make a really good portfolio, make a complete portfolio of your watercolor art.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so much this every time I'm just calling watercolor art. It's not just a watercolor art. I'm so sorry.
Every art. Yeah, it's
any art.
So, I like the idea of serious. I think it's a really smart move if you can sell the idea to the gallery that here's the series and it really works well together, assuming that it's good, of course. Absolutely. I think it gives it an extra dimension of making them want it more,
Absolutely, yes.
The way you do it, you approach this.
Yeah. So another approach is you should have an Instagram account with you. It's so much important in today's market.
It's like a business card.
Yes, it's a business card. If you are an artist, you're struggling. So you should have that, and that gives you a lot more. Not only the financial aspect, selling your art aspect, but also connecting with the people, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking to you. I've not gone to your country to meet you. We meet online, right? We know each other.
Yeah.
So this is how it is. I've spoken with other people also in a different part of the world. It all happens like how accessible you are. So my suggestion is to make a good art, Give your your access, have your account in all the social front, have your at least one blog site. Your website is if you have a website, individual website, that's a well go. It's a really amazing. But if you don't want to maintain, or if you don't have that technical knowledge to create and maintain your and host your website and all, yes, there are several things available, and that's also free. Look at this.
Tons of
The
free
blog.
services. Yeah.
Yeah. So you make this a lot of blogging, keep your art, connect with the people, and through Instagram you can follow those galleries, send your artwork, but don't just throw away all the work. Okay, let's see this, see this, see this, see this. No, that's not the thing. You just see that which gallery is more relevant for your article, for your art. So yeah, this is how
whatever your art is.
Yeah.
That's great advice. I love that. I wanted to ask you, and you mentioned it just now. Yeah, we know each other from online, and I think there is a special kind of connection between people who do YouTube. It's just so much that comes with it. If I take another artist that just paints and and does Instagram, or another artist that does YouTube, it's like immediately there's something about it. It's special. So I wanted to ask you a bit about why you started your channel, and what made you upload your first video, for example. I'm curious about that as well. We talked a bit about it also before.
Absolutely. Like in today's, I've seen that many artists, most of them, they don't have any videos, right? Not only in YouTube, but any other platform. They don't have it. You have to show who you are, right? What you do, and get connected with the people, right? And this is so important in today's art world. When I started, my channel in the YouTube, I've just started with around 10 photograph of my good work, and I've just started, and I've seen that there was no much view, but I saw that the people response.
Yeah.
So the important thing here is your validation. That's a different dimension, different discussion. It's all together, but it's validate you. It's validate you. So a lot of people, a lot of artists say that, and I really don't need someone else's validation other than that. But that's a different discussion, as I said. But you really wanted to know what you are up to, whatever you are doing, how it's been perceived, your audience, what they felt. So this is how I started with the 10 11 snaps, and I've started, and I think in a month I got on a very good comments, and the kind of curiosity I saw, and that motivates me. That motivated me to create some more. So I started putting some more images. So there was no video. I mean, it was just the still images of my work. And I just realized that, okay, let's do one thing. Let's make a process. Like I've seen that in YouTube already. A lot of people are, showing their
doing the whole process thing.
That process, how it's been done. And it's really interesting to start with. So the first thing I've done is I've just gone to my local market, and I purchased one iPhone to suit my video. So I've started, and after that, it is like never looking back. So I just make sure that I should upload at least 1 or 2 videos in each week. And some of the videos were some of the tutorials were really help a lot of beginners. So I just felt like I'm adding values to a lot of people, right? In the whatever you say, consciously or unconsciously, but the people, I'm just definitely there is a values. People are really getting benefited from this, and I always started from there. Interestingly, I think after 2 to 3 months, I got the first check from YouTube.
Yeah, amazing.
So, yeah, so it was a very small amount. It's $120, but it really, it works like a catalyst. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I never thought that. I've not started to earn revenue, from YouTube. It's just like, I wanted to have this to showcase my process to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all started, but I've never earned so much. I never earned in YouTube. Still, I'm not. But yeah, but I'm just I'm so happy that the people feel that I'm just adding values to their life through art. So it's really it feels so good. So yeah, I've seen that in the Patreon also. A lot of people are came forward and started helping me, because in some way or
Yeah.
another, yeah. So you really need some support to continue, because
Yes.
you are absolutely not getting anything. You are a small YouTuber, and if you really want to bring some of the values to the world, to the art community, then you need to have some sort of the what is called, somebody should come forward and should help you to
Yes.
create those ones,
You need
to
some
create those content.
initial support, I guess, in the
Yeah,
beginning
yeah.
to,
But
yeah.
so I think, yeah. So I think the Patreon is an amazing platform. So I just see it. I just saw that a lot of people came and they started supporting me. So yeah, it all started, and I'm just going forward with my journey, and let's see where I'll reach. But it's just I just look at it as my journey.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing, and I'm really happy because, again, this talk wouldn't happen if I wouldn't hear about you, and I heard about you through your YouTube channel. So a lot of good things come out of it. I think this is one of the reasons I also started. It's just a good thing if you can share your work, and if it's a way that you're good in sharing. I think great. We're nearing the end of this interview, and I don't want to also take too much of your time. I do have just like two small questions. So the first one is like, what's your favorite color and maybe least favorite color, if you have any? I'm curious about that.
So my favorite color is basically recently it's been changed. Earlier it was in the sepia.
Burnt sienna, and earlier it was sepia.
Yeah, no, I mean earlier it was the sepia, but now I just moved into ultramarine blue. So
ultramarine blue. Yes.
Yeah, so
I see it in all of your works almost. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I'm doing a lot of experiment with that ultramarine and sepia mixing together.
Yeah,
and
the granulates. It's interesting. It's I love that.
Yeah. So going forward, definitely I'll have interesting color palette.
What's a color you hate? If there is one, I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard question.
No, I don't hate any color. All are colors. How can you hate colors? All colors are great. Yeah.
That's spoken like a true watercolor artist. Amazing. Okay, so Leslie, I just wanted to ask if you can let us know what you have going on right now, what you'd like maybe people to check out, like anything you want to plug. I know you're on Skillshare now, so kind of like your chance to just let us know what's up, and if you want, and,
okay.
And then I'll wrap up. And
yes. So yeah, I mean, I have. I'm just working on the series of, for the watercolor art, specifically on the Indian context. These works are basically going to be represent to various the social front of the Indian values, tradition, and all of those. So that's what currently I'm just working on, and you will see a lot of my work in my website, and in my definitely I'll upload several tutorial in YouTube also. Yeah, I mean, I've just recently started Skillshare, teaching this watercolor, because a lot of people have said that I really want to see the longer version of your process.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, so we'll make this, and that will also motivates me, because I'll have a very small commission from each minute you will watch that, and the referral will have somewhat of amount. So that sort of the kind of the support will definitely adds a lot of motivation to create these content. So I'm just creating all those in the screens there, and that's the thing that I'm doing. I'll just hope that going forward I'll have a lot many exhibition coming up.
Yeah. So first off, I really want to thank you for doing this. I love these opportunities to create a better connection with other creators, especially like-minded, like, here on YouTube. And also, I definitely want to recommend anyone who's watching this, and I'm going to look to the camera that's actually going to be in the video, because I have another camera here. Definitely check out also YouTube channel. I'm going to put links to everything below. So the YouTube channel, your website, there as well, so you can find everything here. I think it's actually a rare opportunity to learn from someone who is really great at what they do, and also know how to convey that. That's another important thing. They know how to explain it. And one of the things that I really like about your work is, and I noticed it from the very first video on YouTube, is you had great intentions from the beginning of sharing and letting other people know what you're doing, and I really appreciate you for it, and I really want to thank you for it. This has been really fun to do. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Liron. It's really great talking to you. It's really, I mean, I really enjoyed having this discussion with you, and I really appreciate your effort. What you're doing in your channels, it is so helpful for many beginners. So I'm congratulating to you also to creating such videos and sharing with the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So what we're going to do now is I want to thank everyone who was watching. I'm going to do a wrap-up separately to not take more of your time. We're going to just chit-chat afterwards. Thank you so much to anyone watching. Let's wrap it up. So this is it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this interview, and I think a lot of good things are happening as a result of just making these connections inside the watercolor painting kind of community. And so I had a lot of fun talking to Nitin, and I will definitely recommend you check out everything below. His YouTube channel, just incredible tutorials, his Skillshare class. It's just an opportunity to learn from someone who is really, really good at what he does and is really good at teaching and communicating his skills, and I think his mindset is very healthy. So I would really recommend you check that out. And aside from that, this is it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, if it's the first one, to subscribe. I'm going to try and interview more artists. I'm going to do more tutorials, do more videos, do more of the different series, the Painting Masters, the Paint Show, everything else. I really want to thank you for your time and for watching, and I will see you again in another vid real soon.